Hello everyone, I'm Alexander Nikolai, and this is Election Audit. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of a follow-on video to my previous one about the News and Observer debacle, and it's about another endorsement that they've done for the Wake County District Attorney's race, and I just kind of want to go through this with you guys and tell you how I feel. Give you my take. It's going to be some hot takes. So, this is the N&O endorsement, our choice in the race for Wake County District Attorney by the editorial board. After serving as Wake County's top prosecutor since 2014, District Attorney Lauren Freeman chose not to seek a fourth term. No Republican filed to be on the November ballot for the office, so Freeman's successor effectively will be chosen by the winner of a three-way Democratic primary on March 3rd. Freeman, who previously served as Wake County's clerk of court, has run her office with low-key effectiveness despite a shortage of assistant DAs. She made progress in diverting cases involving drug addiction and mental illness while taking a hard line on prosecuting those charged with violent crimes. Now, Democratic voters will have a choice between essentially staying Freeman's diligent but quiet course or electing a candidate who will raise the profile of an office that serves the state's most populous county and, as it is in the state capital, has the power to prosecute corruption within state government. Freeman has endorsed Sharita Walton, a former assistant Wake DA, who now serves as a senior associate city attorney for Raleigh and legal advisor to the Raleigh Police Department. Walton, 48, has solid experience, having served for 8 years as a prosecutor in a Manhattan DA's office before coming to Wake County. Her work with the Raleigh Police has made her familiar with both the strengths and flaws of the policing that brings cases to court. Walton would address not only criminal cases, but would also seek to reduce crime by consulting with community activists, law enforcement officials, criminal justice advocates, and youth groups. If elected, she would be Wake County's first black district attorney. Melanie Shakita, 53, is another candidate with strong ties to the Wake County District Attorney's Office. She has served as an assistant DA for 27 years under Freeman and her predecessor, Colin Willoughby, who has endorsed Shakita. Shakita knows the DA's office and knows where it can be improved. She says she will focus on reducing violent crime by creating a task force on dangerous offenders and would personally prosecute violent felonies. She wants to develop a full-fledged mental health court to break the cycle in which the mentally ill are put in jail, treated, released, and then offend again. While Walton and Shakita have direct experience with the Wake DA's office, candidate Wiley Nickel would come to the job with a fresh perspective and a broader view. Nickel, 50, has a strong political background. He worked for President Barack Obama, served 2 terms as a state senator, served 1 term in the U.S. House of Representatives, and made an early bid for U.S. Senate before withdrawing after former Governor Roy Cooper announced he would seek the Democratic nomination. Nickel's political experience and ambition would invigorate the DA's office. He has shown a willingness to press for more resources for the DA's office. He notes that Mecklenburg County, the state's second largest county behind Wake, has 94 prosecutors, while Wake has only 43. One question about Nickel is his lack of experience in prosecuting cases and managing caseloads. In response, he notes that he created and led a Wake County law firm and oversaw a congressional office. We think his strength in the community relations offsets what he lacks in criminal trial experience. The DA office is, after all, an elected position that must maintain the trust and confidence of the public. Most notably, Nickel wants to activate the Wake DA's dormant role as prosecutor of political corruption. It may be that contracts, contributions, and grants involving state lawmakers and state officials are all above board, but it's unlikely. The way... I'm sorry. I'm gonna get into this. Holy shit! Just let me finish my little voice here, and we're gonna get into this. Okay. I'm gonna try. The Wake DA needs to respond to media reports and tips about potentially illegal activity within the state government. As DA, Nickel promises he will be vigilant about wrongdoing regardless of the political party involved. Nickel also said he will take action if federal agents use the aggressive tactics they've deployed in Minnesota and elsewhere. What they're doing is just random sweeps and terrorizing communities and trampling all over the Constitution, he said. The Democratic primary for Wake DA offers 3 worthy candidates. But what's needed now is not only a new head prosecutor, but a fresh view of how to support and employ the powers of the office. We recommend Wiley Nickel for Wake County District Attorney. Oh my God. Holy. There's so many different angles that I could deal with this with you guys. Let's see. Let's do a line by line and then maybe I can go off. So Lauren Freeman's retired. Okay, she chose a successor. It's not a Republican seat. They don't even care to try. What the f*** do they mean, staying Freeman's diligent but quiet course? What is this fucking garbage? What is this writing? Is this like, this is like when you're in college and they tell you to write a persuasive essay. And you're just like, your task is to like poetically reveal your latent biases in the form of prose. God, it's so stupid. Just reading that stuff makes me feel like an idiot. State capitol corruption. 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 Wait a minute. I already did a couple videos on that. In fact, I even looked over how careless and negligent the News and Observer was and when they endorsed Paul Barringer for CD13. Is that not corruption? Let me ask this simple question. What is corruption? Like seriously, do people know or do they just think they know but they don't? I'm sure you guys all have your own ideas of what that might mean, or maybe you looked it up. I'm going to tell you the simple definition of corruption. When you betray the premises of what you're doing. For example, the News and Observer is a print publication, and they have a social contract with their readership to inform them and to be impartial as journalists. They are shirking that responsibility that they have when they choose to be negligent in their reporting. And I can't think of a better piece of proof that they were negligent with this than to just compare the word count between this article and the one they wrote on CD13. And also, just to reiterate what I said in that original video, they don't say anything about Paul. Nothing. They don't even bother having an opinion. And you know why? Because they don't need to. The way they see it is that people don't care that much about this race, so we won't put that much effort into it. In contrast, what you're looking at here with them picking the corrupt candidate here, I'll say, is you're looking at, we know that this sounds really bad, so we have to try a lot harder to convince people somehow that we're not full of shit. No, nobody wants this. So this goes back to what I said about, this is what I said about the elections themselves with my video about Paul Barringer's finances. This is shirking the basic premise of an elected office, of the public's opinion is the only opinion that is sacrosanct. Right? News and Observer has their own endorsement process because they're journalists. And the idea of them having an endorsement process goes back to the fact that, well, we do lots of independent research and we can conduct interviews and do all of this stuff. And it's a very antiquated concept, but once upon a time, it legitimately made sense for newspapers to endorse candidates. Nowadays, it's kind of extraneous. And what they're doing today in the age of the internet is they're trotting around this dinosaur and using it as a cudgel to curry political favor. This goes back to what I said about News and Observer in the first place. They want to pick a winner. They don't want to inform their readership. They don't want to give them an unbiased view. And they don't want to tell them what they genuinely think is the best candidate for them. That's not what they're saying here. They're making a big song and dance about whoever that they like the most and never mind why. And this is corruption. So I think it's deeply ironic when I read, the DA is, after all, an elected office. Whoops, no, wrong one. So I think it's deeply ironic when the News and Observer is talking smack about prosecuting political corruption, when this is exactly what I'm looking at. The people doing political corruption are the ones claiming they want to fight political corruption. Do you see the problem here? This is very dangerous, guys. And if you're looking at somebody who's corrupt and they're saying they want to fight corruption, they don't actually want to fight corruption. They want to persecute their political enemies. That's probably a more honest characterization of what they intend to do if they get power. This smacks of hypocrisy. It may be that contracts, contributions, and grants involving state lawmakers and state officials are all above board, but it's unlikely. Aha! You don't say. I mean, gee, I think that this kind of started when you guys stopped giving a fuck what the public wanted. You don't care about their votes. There's your first problem. This is ridiculous, man. Just reading over this, it's insulting. It's just insulting as all get out. Here's the hint, though. The Wake DA needs to respond to media reports and tips about potentially illegal activity. Did you catch that? Do you know what they're really saying there? News and Observer is telling them what they really think. They're saying, hey, you should listen to us when we tell you about someone that we don't like is doing something that we don't like. You should threaten them. You should be our friend. You should throw the people we don't like in jail. You should prosecute them. You should investigate them. Do corruption with us, Wiley Nickel. Come on, we're going to endorse you even though no one fucking likes you. Nobody likes you, but here's our endorsement. Come on, do corruption with us, please. Come prosecute corruption, yeah. I love it. This is fucking child's play, y'all. It's so obvious what this is about. This is proof that they're full of shit about all the other endorsements as well. That this is not just, oh, we're so establishment and adult and delusional and out of touch 50-year-olds, and that's why we don't endorse anybody who actually cares about CD13. No, they're picking Paul because of the money. That's why. Whether they're just feeling his ice or whether or not they took a fucking payment for it, who knows? Either way, it's corruption. This is why they're doing this, and this Wiley Nickel endorsement basically makes it beyond a reasonable doubt. I admittedly had to reach a little bit. Let me put it this way. I'll admit that my arguments weren't as ironclad as they are now when I first made the video, but I was absolutely on the right track. This is what I'm talking about, and this is what we're up against. We the people, and me. This goes back to the basic thing of why I ever said that I was running. I've told you guys this before, and I'll say it again. Every politician has a selfish reason for running. What's yours? What's his? What's mine? My selfish reason for running is that I can't code my way out of this problem. And it turns out it's the same problem that all the rest of you guys have. What luck, What luck. Lucky us that we get to work together, huh? But this isn't an option. This problem here of corruption, this problem of just, a bunch of rich, well-to-do nobodies appointing themselves into all the positions of power in government like someone fucking invited them. These unlikable, unoriginal, full of shit, yuppie, criminal wannabes are putting themselves in charge and handing out favors left, right, and center, turning everything into a Game of Thrones. That's not an option. That's not a theory. That's reality. And I don't know about you, but I accept that. I accept the truth. And so should you. In fact, you probably already do. But the question then becomes, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'll tell you, the first thing you got to do is don't forget about this. Don't forget about what News and Observer said. It's not that different from a restaurant that gives you salmonella because they didn't cook their food enough. Oh, it'll be at least 6 months before I go back there. What's it going to be for In-N-O? 10 years? 20 years? How long until I can read them without, worrying about whether or not I'm being lied to? It's going to be a while, These are the kinds of things that you have to do. And it's not to be conflated with the whole adage of voting with your wallet. Let's not be naive or obtuse about this. This is about living lives that are in accordance with our own values and what's in our own best interests. And when things don't work for us because they're conspired against us, we don't deal with it and we don't recognize it. Simple as. It's never going to do me any good. And we need to just forget about a lot of this stuff. Forget about what News and Observer thinks and focus on ourselves. But I have to make these kinds of videos because a lot of people still don't know. They're in the dark. And that's part of the plan. That's why Paul Barringer is raising all this money and hosting all these eateries, is that he hopes you don't find out about me. It's the same issue. As long as you don't know about this, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of work to be done raising awareness, as long as this is a problem. We got to get people aware and then get them to stop respecting this stuff, because it is disrespectful to you. You don't value insults to your intelligence and insults to your political constitution. The government should be owing it to you, not the other way around. But when you read this, Nickel, he's a ballot hopper. People have said this. He's going wherever the wind blows. Why? What does he intend to do? Whatever the hell he wants. That's how this is working. And he finds other unlikable people like himself that he huddles together with, and they all give each other money and solicit donations from other unpopular people from out of state so that they can win when nobody likes them and nobody wants them, so they can defeat the democratic process. You see this out of Paul. You see this out of Wiley Nickel. Where else do we see this phenomenon? I'm sure that you guys as local voters here can find people like this. They're not very hard if you go look. They're not very hard to find if you look. This is crap. They want to put a guy in the DA office that's one of them. And this is my biggest political message. This is the sole reason for being of my campaign and my political career as I know it, is stopping tolerating these people who want to have a big club that you and I aren't in. That's their only unifying ethos, Democrat, Republican, or maybe they're crypto-fascist, AI worshipers. I don't know. Maybe they go to Burning Man every year. Maybe they're on Epstein's Island. Doesn't matter. They all have one thing in common. It's us. One of us. Exclusionary. It's a lot of racism, too. Everywhere you look, all around the world. It's a lot of hate. And it's a lot of negligence and contempt for innocent people. And you can't live under that. They won't let you. They want to have everything and leave us with nothing. And people like Wiley Nickel, people like Paul Barringer, just want to be a cog in that machine because they think that that's what's going to get them there and secure their futures. They don't give a fuck about what the collateral damage is. They don't care ultimately. There's no earnestness. That's a foreign language to them. And the News and Observer's got their back. This is a very unfair fight, but it's a fight that we have to take. That's the election update. As always, thanks for watching. And as always, thanks for watching.